Okay, this topic at National 5 is called simultaneous equations. All to do with straight lines and where they cross over. Now, we've got two possibilities for simultaneous equations. Either lines cross over or they don't cross over. If we look at the diagram here, we can see that these two lines cross over. This line here has an equation y equals 2x minus 3, and this one has x plus 2y is equal to 14. Now, I'm going to make up 3 videos on simultaneous equations. The first one I'm doing just now, I'm going to solve this problem using substitution, and it will just be pure maths that we'll do here. Now, I expect you to already know a wee bit about straight lines, the format of straight lines. This is the normal format. Here's another format. You've got to be able to recognise these for your exams. So it involves straight lines and where they cross over. Now, straight lines can either cross over at one point here, or they maybe don't cross over at all. So for simultaneous equations, you will get ones that cross over, obviously, because if they don't cross over, you can't do simultaneous equations. Here's two lines that are parallel. You can see that they don't cross over. Therefore, we can't ask you to do it. We can't solve it. So we have to give you ones that solve, and this one solves. Now, two techniques I'm going to show you how to do. Substitution, which is pretty straightforward, providing you've got nice equations. And the other method I'm going to show you is elimination, which I prefer. I tend to use elimination a lot. But substitution is good and easy and pretty straightforward as long as your equations are nice, but you don't always get that in the exam. And we'll show you this one's quite easy, but you get ones that are tricky, and we'll show you the ones in a later video. Now, the last video, so there'll be 3 videos in total. The last video will be actual real life examples of using simultaneous equations. In the exam, usually worth between 4 and 6 marks in your exam. You're hoping to get one that's worth 6 marks because they're very straightforward, they're done all the same way, and they're nice questions to come up, and they always come up, so you will always get a question on simultaneous equations. So let's tackle this one. So where do these two lines cross over? They can only cross over at one point since they're straight lines. If you think about it, if they do cross over, they can't cross over twice because they're straight. So at this point here, the x and the y coordinates are the same. So that means at some point, this point here will satisfy this equation and satisfy this equation. The x and y's will be the same. So let's write them out. So we've got x plus 2y is equal to 14, and we've got y is equal to 2x minus 3. Now, by substitution, so just by sub, what we're going to do is we're going to replace the y value here with 2x minus 3. We're going to substitute the y value, which is the same as 2x minus 3, into here, and then solve that for x. Okay, so rewriting this equation, x plus, now I'm not going to write the y because I'm going to substitute, because y is equal to this here, we're going to put that in there. So that's going to be 2x minus 3 is equal to 14. Multiply it out. You can use the grid or just do it in your head. So that's going to give me 4x minus 6 is equal to 14. Then we tidy it up. So like terms, so that's 5x then minus 6 is equal to 14. Add 6 to both sides. So we get 5x then is equal to 20. And the last step, divide through by 5. So my x value is equal to 4. So x is equal to 4. Now that means that x is equal to 4 here. So my coordinates here for p is 4 something. Remember, that's the x value and that's the y value coordinates. So if I put 4 in here, it will balance out. So 4 in there. Don't know what my y is yet. Must equal 14. And my 4 in here, if I work out my y, must be the same. So how do I work out y? Well, I can take my x value and put it in here and work out my y. I can put my x value in here and work out and find my y. Now, as you get good at these, you look at the equation and say, which one's the easiest? Well, clearly, hopefully, I'm going to substitute it in here because it's y equals. So I just have to put 4 in there and work it out. If I put 4 in here, then I'm going to rearrange that and solve that, and it's a wee bit trickier, but it will come to the same value. I'm going to use this one. So sub x equal to 4 into y equals 2x minus 3. So just substitute it in. 2 times 4 is 8 minus 3. 8 minus 3 is 5, so y is equal to 5. So P has coordinates 4, 5. Remember, that's my x value, that's my y value. So up my diagram here, this is the point that satisfies both these straight lines. And we can put it in we can do it manually, just put it in there. Well, that's what we used already. So 2 4s are 8, take away 3 equals 5, correct? If I put x equal to 4 in here, and my y is 5, 4 plus 2 times 5, well 2 5s are 10, plus my 4 is 14, so it balances out, and we've solved it. So in your exam, you can actually work through that, and you can guarantee that you've got your 6 marks, because you can substitute it in, and you'll know if you've got the right answer or not. Okay, so that was substitution. Now I'm going to do another substitution question, and then that will be the end of the video. Now, you don't always get the diagram. Very often you don't get the diagram in your final exam. So they just give you a bit of algebra. So here's a question, past paper question, and all it says is solve for x and y. Now it's actually written like this. In the exam they're usually written this way to try and confuse you a wee bit. Written this way, they encourage you to do the elimination method, which I'll show you in the next video. But some people get mixed up with this. First thing you have to remember, that's a straight line equation. We don't have a diagram, but you can rearrange it into y equals mx plus c. And you can do exactly the same for that. So these two equations are straight line equations. So just looking at it, they might go something like this. That could be the straight lines, and you're finding the point. So always have that in the back of your mind. What is it you're trying to do? You're trying to solve equations. Okay. So I always tend to draw 2 wee lines just so that I know that's the type of thing that we're trying to draw, or we're trying to solve. Okay. So because we're using the substitution method, I'm going to rearrange this one here into y equals mx plus c. So that's going to be y equals 2x minus 10. Now I've done a few steps there. You might have to think about that to see where it comes from. I've added y to both sides, and then I've subtracted 10 from both sides and flipped it round. Okay, so my wee diagram here, it's not quite as it should be, because that's a positive gradient. So if you think about positive gradient, it must go something like that. Now, it's minus 10 as well, so again, that's not quite right. So it's down here somewhere, minus 10. This is your straight line theory, so it must go through here, but it must go up something like that. This one here, so if I rearrange that, I'm not going to do that, but if I rearrange it, that's a negative gradient, a negative gradient. And I'm just doing this wee bit in my head, so and it'll cross through at 6 or something like 6 up here somewhere. So I don't know, it'll go something like that. Okay, it might be further down here. It's just a rough sketch to get an idea of what you're doing. Okay, so why did I do this? Why did I put in that? Because I'm going to use substitution, and I can now substitute in for y in here. So by sub means substitution. Well, I'm going to write this equation out. So I've got 4x plus 5. Now I'm not going to write the y, I'm going to put in what y is from this equation, and that one there, rearranged into that, That tells me it's 2x minus 10, and all that equals 6. So all I've done is written this equation out and substituted for y. And now I have to multiply that out and tidy it all up. So let's do that. That's going to give me 4x then, plus 10x minus 50 is equal to 6. Let's tidy it up a wee bit. Well, the x's can tidy up to 14x minus 50 is equal to 6. Add 50 to both sides, so that's 14x then is equal to 56. Now this might be a calculator question, 14x equal to 56. Some people find that difficult, but it does go in nice and neat. If we divide through by 14, x is equal to 4. Now we have to get the y value. Well, again, look at the two equations we had. We've got these two initially, but we rearranged this one into this so we could substitute in. So I'm going to use that because that's the easiest one to find y. So sub x equal to 4 into y equals 2x minus 10. Well, y then must be equal to 2 times 4 minus 10. So that gives me y is equal to, that's 8 taken away 10 is minus 2. Okay, so the crossover at the point x equal to 4 and y equal to minus 2. So if I look at my diagram, I drew my wee diagram, it wasn't accurate really. It should have came down more like that maybe. And that point then there is 4 minus 2. But you don't know that because we weren't given a diagram, so this is me just trying to get an idea of what these two equations look like. Okay, and that's similar to this equation using the substitution method, by substitution. Now the next video is going to be elimination, and that's the one I would recommend that you use. You don't have to, but it's the one I always use because some of the numbers in here can be quite tricky, and when they're tricky, substitution can get a bit messy. The elimination method is a wee bit easier and it works for everything, and it's pretty straightforward. Okay, it's just a process. Okay, so I'll get that video done over the next few days. Okay, bye.